All right. Welcome to an experience of movement-based expressive arts therapy. And I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Maggie Forgeron. I'm a dance artist, an expressive arts therapist, a movement and arts-based researcher, as well as a Kripalu yoga teacher. And for those of you who are watching the replay and are perhaps less familiar with movement-based expressive arts therapy, what we're interested in today is what art making, what the act of art making has to offer us. So sometimes we can get really caught up in the making and shaping of an art piece, whether it be a dance or a piece of choreography. And that certainly has its place and time. But for the purposes of today, we're looking to explore movement in a way that develops our self-awareness, increasing our attention toward ourselves and identifying perhaps some old patterns and refreshing ourselves with new insights and new creative ways of engaging with our life. And movement is going to lead the way today. We will also fold into the experience a little bit of drawing and sketching, a little bit of journaling, as well as some poetic dialogue with each other at the end. Are you ready? Thumbs up. Beautiful. Okay, so to kick us off, I want to start with this sentence. Science will save us from this pandemic, and the arts will get us through it. These words have been so incredibly powerful for me this past year and a bit. And a statement like that might indicate that the arts are a mere form of escapism, entertainment, something to pass the time. And the arts can certainly be all of those things. We need all of those things. And perhaps meeting like this via technology, the same platform we use for some of us to binge watch our favorite shows, might even underscore that point. What interests me in my work as a dance artist and movement-based expressive arts therapist is how artistic engagement can offer us so much more right now in the world. In opening a space for reflection and creative engagement, we can play a part in finding some solutions to the difficulties, to the distress, to some of the heavy restrictions that so many of us are facing in the world right now. So things like the mental health crisis, personal stories of loss and grief, the disassociation that many of us feel from our planet, from ourselves, from each other, all of these things that are deeply linked to our survival do not exist outside the story of this virus. So yes, science may save us from the pandemic, and the arts can play such a huge role in addressing some of these themes and also providing substantial physical, emotional, mental support and resilience and rebound and playfulness, and maybe even somewhere in there a little bit of self-empowerment. So I'm saying all of this today to situate us in the context of my interest with this work, but I'm also saying it to validate this field that we're all a part of. Validate this field as an essential service in our life right now. And we're finding a way to do it while still following public health guidelines right now. So we're going to start very simply and slowly. We're not going to try to solve all of the world's biggest problems right now. We'll start really small and close to home with ourselves, exploring some embodied practices and exploring some tools to help us find support and some resilience, playfulness, as well as some personal empowerment right now. I think I, for one, could use some of that in my life right now. I don't know about you. So we're going to experiment. This is a giant experiment. I don't know what's going to happen as much as you don't know what's going to happen. But we're going to see whether or not we can lean into technology to promote a deeper sense of connection with ourselves. And we're going to lean into the parts of ourselves that have perhaps felt a little bit constricted during this pandemic and see if we can find ways to expand, to kind of tease ourselves out a little bit, find some bounciness, find some play, and also make some space and room in our lives for our dreams, our longings, our passions, our callings, the things that really matter to us in our life right now. And the final words I want to say are, we are doing this for ourselves, but we're also doing it as a metaphor of what's possible in the world right now. So I feel that what we're doing here right now is also a form of activism, shall we say. All right, so I'm just going to take a deep breath. You can take a breath with me. And the next thing I want to do with you is to offer a couple of questions for you to consider for yourself. And we're going to move into some journaling. So if you want to have a piece of paper and a writing utensil nearby. And the question I want to pose to the group today is, what is the part of you that wants something for yourself and is able to feel and hold on to that dream? And how do you build a relationship to that part of yourself that doesn't get easily knocked around by your day-to-day life, even in pandemic times? So I'll repeat those two questions again. What is the part of you that wants something for yourself and is able to really feel into, really sense and hold on to that dream? And then how do you currently build a relationship to that part of yourself that does not get easily knocked around by your day-to-day life, even in these strange and unprecedented pandemic times? So I'll give just like 3 to 5 minutes for you to just jot down some notes to yourself based on those questions. And maybe as you continue to journal and tease out some of those thoughts in relationship to those questions, I'd like for you to see whether or not you can come up with a central question for yourself today to help guide you. So based on your writings, is there some sort of a question, or maybe it's a statement that comes to you that can help guide you personally in this exploration today? So we have this sort of overarching meta theme. And then what do you personally want to bring to your practice today? Maybe give me a thumbs up if you feel like you've arrived at some sort of central question or statement for yourself. Do you want to drop your, actually, there's so few of us. Why don't we unmute ourselves and each person can have an opportunity to share that guiding question for the day. And how about we just go in the order that I see you on my screen? So Maya, do you want to share?
Sure. Something about how to parse out or tease out the real gold of my dreams, and make to make them more and more conscious and make more space for them.
Beautiful. Thank you. Jackie, do you want to share?
Sure. My question has ended up at, how can I speak in curiosity to guide myself and others?
Nice.
Thanks.
Thanks. Ray, do you want to go?
Yes. My question is still arising, and it has something to do with how can I listen to this inner child who is holding on to the dream and honor it from adult action.
Nice. Barbara?
And mine is, what I feel is that I cannot go after my dreams if I am not holding okay in my body. So my question is how to prioritize self-care and practice it, like give myself time for socialization, for time to be in open space in nature, and time to just breathe and contemplate.
Nice.
And that despite feeling obliged to fulfill the duties.
Great. And still take care of every day. Nice. I feel like I can resonate with every single one of your questions and statements. Thank you. Okay, so from here, we're going to move into some creative movement. that could feel like an empowering response to some of these questions and statements. And then we're just going to see whether or not movement-based play can help to start, shift, and mobilize some of these dreams. So the next step, I'd like for each one of us to find a creative way of re-entering the Zoom space. So we're going to use this as a symbolic act of crossing over the threshold of the art studio. Since we're meeting online, it's very difficult to make that transition. So we're going to find for ourselves individual ways to do that for ourselves. And I'd like for you to really see if you can get in touch with your senses as you do so. So your sense of touch, taste, smell, sight, your kinesthetic sense of your body in space. Some suggestions might be you can stay put where you are and just connect to some grounding tools for yourself, whether it be your breath or feeling your seat in the chair. A lot of people like lighting a candle. You can move to a totally different area in your house or your room. What else? The sky's the limit. Surprise me. Let's see if we can make it fun and playful. And I'll give about, let's say, a minute to 2 minutes to arrive again. Okay? So I'll ring the bell to begin. Gorgeous, guys. What a great way of transitioning from the intellect into a more sensing and feeling state. So here we are in the studio. And now that you've all sat down, I'm actually going to have you transition away from the Zoom screen again to standing. At this point, if you have a ball, a tennis ball, kid's ball, an animal ball, a pair of rolled up socks, go ahead and grab that. And you can just put it off to the side to begin with. All right, so I'm going to start with a quote. It's a quote that my mentor, Margie Gillis, likes to use, which is a quote from her mentor, Irene Dowd, which is, if you can't do a lot, do a little. If you can't do a little, do less. And if you can do more, when you can do more, let it move, let it go, let it rip. Okay? So we're going to start with everyday accessible movements. We're not doing any fancy pirouettes or high kicks or, weird choreography. We're just looking at the body as an entryway into our senses and as kind of like an applied awareness practice. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is just have your feet in toward the midline of the body. And we're just going to start very simple with some pulsing, some shaking, some bouncing. And feel free to accentuate your exhale, relaxing your jaw, your solar plexus, your groin, just letting your arms and your hands dangle from your shoulder girdle. And we're just looking to move the energy. We're going to be exploring entryways into the body, specifically the feet, the hands, and the eyes. These areas of the body have a lot of nerves on them. And when we stimulate these areas of the body, they send impulses into the center of the body, which is super important and interesting for us in our exploration today, because the center of the body, this is the place where we digest, we assimilate, we organize our experience so that we can start to wake up and mobilize some of those dreams, those passions, those callings, those longings. So as you bounce and pulse and shake yourself up like a giant snow globe, you can start to shift your weight from side to side as well. You really want to feel the impulse coming from the earth, from the bottoms of the feet up through the legs into the pelvis. So we're looking to mobilize the energy from the earth up the legs into the pelvic bowl. And feel free to take yourself for a walk around the room as you shift your weight from side to side as well. Get a little playful, like you're one of those bobbleheads on the front of a windshield. Let your tailbone go. Really feeling that space between your diaphragm and your pelvic floor. Stephen Hawking calls this area the place of decision making, the area of decision making. So go ahead and send energy into the pelvis from the earth. If any sounds come, let them be there. Let them voice themselves. All right, shake it off like you're a duck shaking off some droplets of water. All right, and now grab your ball. All right, so Let's once again start with our feet in the center. And you're going to take the ball, and I'd like for you to start to very slowly and attentively start to press the ball between the palms of your hands. And I want you to come at this super slow, maybe even slower than feels comfortable for you to begin with. So we're being slow not only in between every press of the ball, but also on the uptake of the press into the ball. One of my teachers talks about how when you bring a knife to an apple to cut that apple, you don't just bring it up to the apple and press. You actually want to feel into the surface of that knife on the apple as you begin to cut. So similarly here, I want you to feel into the interaction and interplay between both of your palms as you press the ball and find some different angles and different points on the hand. Sensitizing yourself to the surface of the ball. And you can begin to move your feet beneath you now, once you've found that point of connection between each palm. Taking your time, really caring about what you're doing. And start to play with where your hands are in space with the ball. Nice, easy breathing through the nose, calm breaths. Playing with where those hands are in space and maybe starting to add some squeezing now, squeezing of the ball. Relaxing in the jaw, the solar plexus, the groin. Allowing the energy to circulate through the body. You can start to move the ball from hand to hand now as you squeeze and press and improvise. The ball becoming like a solar system, spiraling, rotating around the center. Around that area of decision making. And on the top of the squeeze, I want you to notice whether there's any area in your body that you're squeezing and cutting off energy flow that's unnecessary. So is there some area of your body that's jumping in to this experience that is not really necessary for you to press and squeeze? We want the body to work as an orchestra of support. But we don't want to, as my mentor Margie Gillis talks about, we don't want to cut off, we don't want to bend the hose, we don't want to squeeze the hose and cut off the energy flow in the body. And you can start to add some playful throwing the ball from hand to hand, maybe add some jumps, some turns, get a little playful, get a little lost. relaxing the other areas of the body that you don't need to accomplish this task. And what does this have to do with perhaps something in your life? Where in your life are you cutting off the hose of experience, where you're not letting the benevolence of the universe come into you, move through you? And feel free to put the ball down and also just squeeze and press your hands into the space. Playing with the speed. Go slow. Go a little faster. Squeezing and pressing. All right, let's wind that down. Grab your ball once again, and I'm going to ask you to place the ball underneath one of your feet. And before you jump right in and start habitually rolling out your feet, as many of us do, I'd like for you to just take a moment and feel the mass and the weight of your body and how that pours through your leg into the ball. So just finding once again that point of connection between your foot and the ball, and then pressing. And find a new spot on the foot, finding that point of connection, feeling the weight of you pour into that ball. Coming at it at different angles. Letting the energy travel up from your foot through the leg into the pelvis. We spend so much of our time living from the neck up, so we're taking this opportunity to ground ourselves in our feet and then send the impulse back up into the center. And now feel free to start rolling out your foot as if the ball is a giant ink pad and you're wanting to get ink on every single part of the bottom of your foot. Keeping your breath really calm, breathing through the nose. Making some circles, some figure eights, some lines, front to back, side to side, some diagonals. And let's go ahead and switch sides again. So remember finding that point of contact, the weight of your entire body pouring through that leg into the ball. Finding different pressure points on the bottom of your foot. And then once you've made that point of contact, you could start to roll the ball like the ball is a giant ink pad, and it should feel good to ink up the entire base of your foot. Play with the speed. Really sending that energy up through the leg, into the pelvis, connecting into that space of instinct, intuition. The fertile seeds that will grow our dream. What we're doing here is not really earth-shattering movement. These are things that you're probably already familiar with. But the difference is how our brain is orienting to what we're thinking, feeling, and doing. Now start to pass the ball back and forth between your feet. And I'm going to invite you, rather than doing it as if you're playing with a hacky sack and kind of kicking your legs out in front of you, I'd like to see if you can shift your weight from side to side. So we're still playing with that idea. I lost my ball. We're still playing with that idea of pouring our weight from side to side into each leg. And if for extra challenge, you can keep your eyes up. So we're bouncing the ball from foot to foot and also sending that energy up into the pelvis and bouncing to and fro in our belly. If some sounds come to you, go ahead. You're on mute. Nobody can hear you. Let it be playful. Let it be light. Okay, so let's put the ball aside. We're going to keep moving here. So we're going to stay with our legs as an entry point. And we're going to play with on and off balance. So I'm going to invite you to feel the weight of you descend into one side of your body, let it drop into the earth as the other side gets lighter. And that leg starts to lift off the earth. Now you get to choose your size. You can keep it really small and just kind of tap that foot up and down off the earth if you're feeling like you need a little bit more support. But if you can move with a little bit more challenge today, feel free to let that leg come even higher off the floor and let that leg meander and play in space. The longer the lever of your leg, the more chaos, the more organizing around your center you're going to have to do. And I want you to see if you can get a real somatic experience of falling off balance and then regaining your equilibrium. So let it be real, don't fake it. And when you get tired, of course, put that foot down. So we're getting playful about knocking ourselves around a little bit, finding some joy in the fight to regain our middle, to regain our center. Let the foot you're standing on pivot, or it can stay firmly planted in the earth. All right, let's switch sides. So come back to the middle. Falling into one side of the body as the other side gets lighter, letting that leg float off the earth, letting it meander and play in space as you begin to test your balance. higher the leg, the more chaos, the more possibility for building rebound and resilience. Giving yourself a real somatic experience of fighting to organize around your center. Let your head go. Let your eyes go. For added challenge, you can also close your eyes, which is always fun. Just make sure that you're not going to kick or fall into anything in your space. Make sure that you're safe. Okay. Let's come back to the middle one more time. Little shake. Little cold shower. Woo. Woo. Wake up, wake up. Or maybe it's a warm shower. All right, so we've worked on the feet and the lower legs. We've done some pushing and squeezing with the hands. The last area we're going to use as an entry point is the eyes. Now the eyes are interesting. I'd like to enter them through this idea. There's a fellow named Thomas Myers. Some of you may know of Thomas Myers. He studies the fascial connections in the body, which is basically like, in very simplistic terms, it holds our body together. It's like the cellophane that connects all of our internal systems of the body. And he talks about these fascial lines. There's one in particular that runs from the bottom of your foot all the way back up your leg, up the back, through the back of the neck, hooks up over the head and connects into the eyebrows. So go ahead and just palpate that for yourself, just touch for yourself that fascial back line. So under the foot, back of the leg, up your bum, your low back, your upper back, into the neck, and hooks in over top of the head under the eyebrows. So we start to connect to this back line when we're a baby and our parents put us on our bellies for tummy time. And we start to lift our head up to take in our environment all around us. So we're going to start to play with some of those spinal curves to connect into that back line of the body. So just bring your feet underneath your hips once again, and I'm going to invite you into a gentle softening of the knees and stretch. Gentle softening of the knees and stretch. Now, as you continue to do this, make it really small, but as you bend the knees, you're going to allow your chin to release forward and your tailbone back, and then the spinal curves elongate as you stretch. So it's a little spinal weight as you bend and stretch to connect into that back line. And keep your eyes open, keep your jaw soft. And just play with this spinal waver, releasing that back line and then creating some length through the back line as you stretch the knees. And make sure that you don't break the dandelion stem. You want to keep length in the back of the neck. And you can start to take this spinal waver through the space a little bit. paying attention to how the environment enters through your eyes and into the central channel of your body, landing in your pelvis. I'm going to add one more layer here. So as you continue to explore this spinal waiver that can get a little bit more messy now, let it be loose, let it be small. I want you to pay attention to what you're seeing. So going between taking in the entire environment of your room, having a more open and spacious quality to what you're taking in. So you're seeing the entire horizon in your field of vision. Start with that. Letting what you see just wash over you. And now play with what I call economy vision, where you start to hone in on some detail, some objects in your space, some texture, some color. And keep walking through your space with a little bit of a spinal waiver as you alternate back and forth between taking in the spaciousness of your environment, letting it wash over you, as well as every once in a while picking up on a detail, a shape, a color, a texture, a quality. Letting what you see enter through your eyes, descend through that central channel of your torso, and just rest there in your pelvis. The fertile ground for all of those seeds, those dreams, those longings, those callings, what it is that you want for yourself and are able to feel and hold on to. And I'm going to give you some time now for movement that is improvised and felt and discovered by you. And I just want you to pay attention to these entry points that we've explored. We've explored the feet, the hands, the eyes. Feel free to make use of walking, pulsing, a little spinal waiver. You have some pushing and squeezing of the hands, taking in your surroundings in a very open and spacious way, as well as connecting into detail. You have all of these resources to play with. Take any one of them or in any combination and just explore your own improvised dance in whatever way that feels compelling to you. And I'm just going to add some music to support you and to dance with. This is your time for exploration. moving in whatever feels compelling, letting any images, associations, interpretations be there, noticing.
Hey babe, how's your day been? No, you first. Oh, what? The delay's quite bad. Yeah, sorry. Where are you? I can't really hear you. A taxi distracted. Anyway, you were saying. Wait. Now they're waving me over. Can I call you back? Yeah, everything's fine. Why am I don't know why. I probably just need sleep. It's been a busy week. Sorry, I've got to go. So, okay, bye. This is just so unlike us. Cut back to horizontalisms. If we can win just one small touch. Contact versus miscommunications. Plan foiled, sirens pass by, kids screaming, the longest public announcement. Reach check-in, finally got through, running for a flight, shoes off, you're calling, voicemail. In joke, group laughter, closing scenes, in a meeting, angel, what didn't you tell me? 1 second, someone
Always coming back to those entry points, the hands, the feet, the eyes.
This is just so unlike us. Cut back to horizontalisms. If we could win just one small touch. Contact versus miscommunication. So unlike us. Cut back to horizontalisms. If we could win just one small touch. Contact versus miscommunication. Did I tell you I loved you today? 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 Did I tell you I loved you today?
Just coming to a final pose of completion for yourself. All right. Let's come back to the Zoom room for a moment. So we're going to add another layer now, the breath. So, excuse me. We're looking at ways to explore the breath as a way to more deeply engage with ourselves. Also as a resource to reveal more movement choices in the body and see if the breath can create some room and some spaciousness for some of those dreams and inner callings that we're working with today. Seeing whether or not we can help them into ourselves. So I just want to preface this by saying that the goal is not deep breathing of this next activity, but it may spontaneously occur. So if that happens, let it happen. There's so much research coming out right now on the breath and the benefit of a very calm, natural, rhythmic breath. So I really don't want you to force the breath in whatever I guide you through next. Just really respecting some of that research that's coming out right now. So breath work can be used in a ton of different ways. It can be used to affect our state, such as when we use it in a yoga class as a grounding practice. It can also be used to affect sounds, such as speech and singing. It can help us gain more control in activities like sports and dance, as well as support aerobic activity like jogging, running, all of these kinds of fun things. Today, we're looking to use the breath as a way of creating more volume and space in the body, and see how or if that relates to the fertile soil for some of these seeds and inner longings and inner callings. So it's an experiment. We'll see. So right now, just as you're sitting here, as you breathe in oxygen, certain areas of the body change shape when you take a breath. So go ahead and place the palms of your hands on your belly, and let's just start by making sure that that whole central channel of the torso is nice and relaxed. And I'm going to ask you to start with a nice breath out and hold the breath at the exhale for just a moment. And in your own timing, a breath is going to naturally arise for you. And as that breath naturally arises, you're going to notice that the oxygen travels and expands and distends the belly outward for most of us. And then as the breath exits the body, the belly comes back toward the spine. So just notice how that oxygen changes the shape of you. And then, of course, if I ask you to hold your abdomen like you might in a ballet class, let's say. So you're going to hold your abdomen and you're going to bring your belly button in toward your spine. The breath has to travel somewhere else in the body, so notice where it travels for you. So for me, I feel it in the ribs, in my chest, in my upper clavicle, and even into my neck. So all this to say that we have habits in terms of how we breathe. Where we breathe, sometimes those are the areas that have more movement capacity to them. And the areas that are more chronically stuck and experience less movement range are usually the areas that we don't breathe into as much. So when we can consciously bring the breath to our practice, those are the places that are going to experience a little bit more movement. So let's continue with our exploratorium here for a moment. Exploratorium, that's a word that I got from one of my teachers, Karina Bomers from Canada's National Ballet School. Little shout out to her. So place the palms of your hands now on the center of your chest. And same thing as we did before, I want you to, just in your own rhythmic breathing, allow the exhale to complete itself and add a little bit of a hold at the bottom and let that inhale just naturally and spontaneously occur. And as you do, I want you to sense into the movement now that's happening underneath the palms of your hands. I want you to notice how the breath moves the bones underneath your hands. And now similarly, continuing with your own natural breathing, I want you to, I'm going to ask you to hold your breath, and I want you to engage your muscles and create the movement of your bones in much the same way you did with breath assistance, but now you don't have any breath assistance. So see if you can move your bones while holding your breath. Nobody pass out on me if you need to just come back to a natural breath cycle. Do that. So start to alternate now between the two. So you're using your breath to create movement of the bones, and then you're holding your breath and creating muscular engagement to move the bones. So you're playing back and forth between those two directives. And you're noticing sensations, paying particular attention to the quality of the movement that you experience, the amount of effort you need to use during either experience, and also the range of movement that you're able to experience for yourself. Yeah, and if you want to move your hands around your torso, you don't have to keep them fixed on your chest if that feels more interesting to you. So remembering, we're looking to explore the breath as a resource for more movement possibility in the body, more movement choice. You may even feel called at this point to move away from the computer screen and get yourself into a position where you can settle a little bit more deeply into the experience of noticing your breath. So if you feel called to change positions, move away from the screen, sit down, lie down, stand. So not forcing the breath too deeply, but see if you can just observe what is moving as you breathe. right now. If you start to feel lightheaded, back off, come to your natural rhythmic breath cycle. And you can even experiment breathing through your nose versus your mouth and notice which one provides a little bit more volume and space and movement for you. That could be an interesting experiment. So for now, just see if you can breathe into an area of your torso that is moving less for you right now. Maybe your 3D breath expansion to the front, back, side, up, down is a little bit misshapen in some way or a little bit sticky. Maybe you're breathing through one lung more than the other. So right now, just bring your attention and breath into that area that you'd like to create a little bit more space and volume. And on the exhale, I really want you to see whether or not you can relax even more deeply. So relaxing through your chest, your throat, right into your pelvis, that whole central channel. Don't try to make anything happen. Just see if you can soften those areas as you allow the natural movement of your bones under your skin. Why this can be supportive for us, for our purposes today, is that it releases tension. We're releasing the kinks in the hose, which inhibit energy flow and how things move. When our body is inhibited, we build habits into our movement and how energy is allowed to distribute in the body, limiting our choices. And now we're going to use this breath exploration to move into a breath dance that is going to bring you out of this more static position that you found yourself in, again into an improvised dance that is felt and discovered by you. So you're using the breath to move the bones under the skin, taking you into your own improvised dance. Releasing any tension, any kinks in the hose, inhibiting the energy and flow through the entire circuitry of your body. We're using this very abstract, expressionist idea as a starting point. Bringing it into the body. Letting the bones of your body be moved by your breath dance. and then eventually letting yourself feel free to embellish, to develop the movement in any way that feels good to you. The breath should not limit your movements. It should free you to move the bones under the skin and begin to embellish and develop and grow that into your own improvised dance. When you're ready, stepping into the space around you, feeling free to level, feeling the breath, letting the breath move the bones and the bones moving through space.
In the morning, I'm morning up. 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 In the morning, I'm morning up.
Coming back to the breath as you need, letting it move the bones, and then letting the bones take.
In the morning, I'm morning up. In the morning, I'm morning up. In the morning, I'm morning up.
All right, stay with that internal experience and see if you can bring yourself to a pose of relative stillness. If it feels good for you, you can place the palms of your hands somewhere on your body. And as you arrive here, firmly planted in midair, see if you can connect to something that you want for yourself right now. It may be related to the journal writing or to the question, the central question that you started with today. Connect to something that you want for yourself right now. And when you arrive at that thing that you want for yourself, I want you to notice where it impacts you in your body right now. And go ahead and place your hands on that area of your body. Shining the light of your awareness to that area of your body. Send your breath into that area of your body. And now I'm going to ask you to just drop that dream, drop that desire, drop that thought. Feel the energy and the breath move the bones under your skin and take you into just a free-form dance through your space. Let it be small, let it be big, let it be a size that fits you right now in this moment. Just letting the energy and the breath move you. And let's come back to that pose of relative stillness, and let's do that one more time. So connecting to that thing that you really, really want for yourself today, this week, this month, this year, whatever it may be, let it come to you. It might be the same thing you just explored. It might be something new and different. Let it surprise you. And notice where it impacts you. Where does it arrive? Where does it land in your body part? And go ahead and place your palms on that area of your body. Shine the light of your awareness to that area of your body, sending your breath to create more space, more volume, more room for possibility. And then go ahead and drop that thought, drop the story, drop the dream, and just feel the energy and the breath move the bones underneath your skin. Let it wash through you. You're going to repeat that 2 more times for yourself. You're going to repeat that cycle in your own timing 2 more times. Taking your time, don't rush it. When you get lost, come back to that relative stillness, feet firmly planted in midair, and just see what dreams and wants arise naturally. Come back to the story, contact your body and the parts that are affected by that thought, that dream. Send your breath and let it move you. if you can arrive at a snapshot moment in your dance, a final impression of your breath dance, the breath dance that moves the bones beneath your skin, that mobilizes longing, those wishes, those dreams, all of what you want to become, that you can feel, that you can hold on to. Final snapshot moment. Feet firmly planted here. Beautiful. And just stay with that internal sensation. And I'm going to invite you to grab a writing utensil and a piece of paper. And we're going to go from the body to the page. And I'd like for you to just move your arm and your hand as though your body continues to dance on the page. And you're going to do an unusual self-portrait. An unusual self-portrait of your breath. So not your hair, not your teeth, not your nails, your bones, your muscles. A self-portrait of your breath dance. Letting your hand dance on the page. A simple sketch. Totally incoherent. But makes sense to you all the same. Just 30 more seconds or so to make some lines on the page. And when you're ready, you can give your sketch a title. Or rather, see if your sketch can offer you a title. And as you consider this title and you come face to face with this very spontaneous sketch you've just put on the page, maybe write a few words about what resources did the breath dance give you in relationship to what you want for yourself right now. And if nothing comes to you right now, that's totally fine as well. But if the words are spilling out, feel free to write them in and around your sketch. What resources did the breath dance give you in relationship to what you want for yourself right now? And when you feel complete, you can just give me a thumbs up so I know where you're at. I know that these things can sometimes grow into a larger exploration, but you'll have some time to do more later if you want to add to your sketch or writing. Yeah, cool. So do you want to have a few minutes of sharing? A couple of questions we might use as prompts as we share. If any aspect of your breath dance had a message to give you, if it could speak to you, if your dance could speak to you, what would it say? What message would it give you? And then if the message that came to you from that reflection has something to do with your central question or statement at the beginning of our time together today, what would that be? So any messages that came from your breath dance, and then if that message had anything to do with the central question or statement that you arrived at today before beginning. We can just popcorn share, so if you feel like it's your turn, just jump right in there. And if you don't feel like sharing anything, that's totally fine too.
I'd like to share the gift of the breath dance that arose for me, and that was a return to this idea that embodiment is knowing. So I was able to resource the breath dance in a way that connected me to that dream in a physical manner. And there were definitely some clear messages that came through and images that came through the dance. And I'll leave those ones private, but they're definitely present and vivid in my mind's eye.
Thanks for sharing your dance too.
In my case, I don't know if you can hear me. In my case, the breath dance gave me the chance to feel how tired I was, which I usually don't allow me to feel, to hear it, to get this urge of my body to just move slowly, no matter what the instruction was or what others were doing. And the chance to just take time with me and caress me with those movements. So it was really nice for me. And the message was that sometimes it's better to slow, even if you have a lot of things to do, it's just better to slow down, to search with energy. My title was Resurfacing with Kindness. And I guess that one of the wishes I have for myself is to give me more freedom to just accept what's going on inside of me.
Thanks, Barbara.
I really just noticed like that there was a real subtlety that I kept being really curious about, finding the movement of the breath and like kind of calling myself back to subtlety and the spaciousness that kind of arrives when, similarly, kind of that slowness and like how it was to mimic the breath with the, not mimic, but like how to create the movement that the breath makes without the breath. And that led into something around a question around subtlety in sorry, I'm a little bit lost for words, but the subtlety in the movements really bringing to mind what's essential for my own constellation that really brings me to myself. And there was in the drawing, there was the title that came was In Constellation, which was like in relationship with my body, breath, the work that I do, my ancestors, the other than human landscape and rivers and all of the things, like the core pieces that feel essential to that original question of parsing out what the gold of my dream is. So yeah, some really great like anchors to my question came, I guess. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Maya.
Yeah, I can share. So the title that came for me with the drawing was Pretzel Breath. And I had these feelings that came out. It kind of like crystallized certain things for me. An energy that was just coming during the dance and in the image was this folding in. There's this top to bottom. There's this interconnected. There's this weaving. These are some of the words that were coming up. I have throat to root. Yeah, cycling, weaving. Throat to root is really like standing out. And it's coming back to my question. And I think there's more there that I need to sit with and come back to my question and think about how that plays.
Thank you so much, you guys. Love hearing your inner stirrings. It's always interesting being on this side of the screen and wondering what's happening over there. What's happening in there? Thank you. So I just wanted to finish with a reminder that we're doing this for ourselves, but we're also doing it as a metaphor for what's possible in the world right now. That there are things that we can do and face and hold and move through us. So I really acknowledge and honor your activism today in exploring this work. And I hope that it brought something to you in your life during this time of restriction. And I'll just finish with a quote, a poem. Don't be scared of letting your dreams come true, because it makes room for bigger and better ones. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Maggie.